Hi, I'm Dr. Greg Owens from the Reimagine Schools podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to right now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
What is up? It is the Hitech Podcast, back for another week. You are listening to me, Josh, one of the hosts, joined by my other host,
Will, me, Illingworth,
hey,
this guy.
Look at that. Another guy. There's two of us. We are here for another week of EdTech, fun, and high-tech hijinks. This is an interesting week for us. If you're listening to this intro, you're either listening to it for the first time, or you heard it last week, or the week before. That is because Will and I were at what I call it FETC. There's some debate about this. There's
no debate.
I mean, it's kind of like I would just like to point out that it's kind of like when the guy who made GIF said it was GIF.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Anyway,
because I agree with you there. It's called a GIF. It's not a GIF. But anyways.
Yeah, I knew I would get your heartstrings on that one. We went to FETC, which is a great EdTech conference. Will and I were there for 4 days.
A lot of time. It felt like forever.
Days. Yeah, exactly. It felt like forever. But forever of fun. It was fantastic. We got to meet a bunch of new people. We got to connect with some friends of the podcast who have been on before. And so we are going to be doing 3 full episodes of content here. And this is our intro for each of those episodes. So if you heard this last week, sorry.
Skip it.
Yeah, skip it. Yeah, that's
here's your note for the next 2 weeks. Just skip this portion. It's going to be 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, just skip the first couple minutes. It's fine, okay? But we are going to be on a great journey. We get to talk to a lot of different people, and we're going to be splicing that in over these next 3 episodes. So you will get to hear from people from tools like Class VR, and you will hear from tools like Shoelace. If you don't know what Shoelace is, good, you're going to find out in one of these episodes.
It's not just the thing you tie your shoes with.
Yeah, exactly. It's got some more. We got to hear from Renee again while we were at the conference, who's been on the podcast before, and we got to hear a whole bunch of other fun people. So it's a cool experience, if I do say so myself. Will, any other words you want to leave with our listeners? At least 3 times?
Folks, that's a great point. We put in 30,000, 40,000 steps worth of effort into this conference and recording. So we hope this is fun. We hope this is informative, and please do share this content. Definitely come out to FETC 2025. You're going to hear at the very end of these 3 episodes a really good reason why. So we appreciate you coming along for the journey.
All right, so this is the Hitech Podcast, again with Will up front and Josh behind the camera, joined by Monica Roach. Monica, you are an instructional coach and tech coach. Talk to me.
Yes, so I am an instructional technology specialist at Burton Elementary School in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Oh, wonderful. I love VA Beach. That's a great place to be. Love it. So we're here at the Quizzes booth at FETC 2024, and you are going to tell me a little bit about what the heck AI is and what they're doing with it. What can we do?
Yes, so Quizzes has incorporated AI into their system for everybody. It's free for everyone.
Free.
Yes, free. Like free.
We love free.
Not freemium, but free.
Wow.
And so one of my favorite features is that you can take a YouTube link, a YouTube video. You can put that video into Quizzes, and it will create your questions. You can determine how many questions you want it to be. You can decide if you want your students to watch the video while they are taking their quiz, if you want them to be able to go back and look at that information again. You can differentiate the questions. You can translate it into various languages. You can
Does it make fries? Like, what can it do?
Right, exactly.
Awesome.
So you also can take those questions and make them fun. You can put it into a real-world situation. It's just got so many fantastic features.
And so that's where we're bringing in like a YouTube video, something like that. YouTube, right?
Yes.
Is there anything else to that? Like, is there any other AI features, questions, prompts?
Yes. So you can bring in a PDF.
Okay.
You can bring in slides.
Any media.
You can bring in a spreadsheet. Pretty much any media. I think I brought in a Google Slides. That's something that I do with 3rd and 4th grade, 5th grade students at my school, and it created like a real quick quiz for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So folks need to go over to quizzes.com,
Definitely.
sign up,
Yes.
and they're going to have AI in media.
Absolutely. It's amazing. And it's fun to just go in and play around with too.
Josh and Will back with the Hitech Podcast. We're very excited to be joined by Lauren Lutz-Coleman.
That is
I get
correct.
that. I looked down. I
Wow.
did read.
Nicely
This is
done.
why he's the lead. That was like solid pro move. Yeah, it's good.
I had looked once before. I didn't even think about it, but we get a lot of different folks in the podcast who have a variety of names, down to the names of products sometimes that I mess up. So I hope not to do any of that today, but you let me know if we get there. Lauren's joining us from Shoelace Learning. Is that the full business title?
That is correct, yes.
Awesome. And what is Shoelace Learning?
Great question. So Shoelace Learning is a game-based platform that is designed to support reading comprehension skills.
Okay.
We serve students in grades 3 through 8. So predominantly that population of students who have already learned how to read,
Yes.
and they're
Okay.
making that transition from sounding out words to instead focusing on deriving texts from what they mean.
Love it.
And also just working on things like figuring out the main idea,
Yep.
working to figure out how texts are aligned, all that comprehension work that's really strategy based.
Great.
Okay.
So it sounds gamey. It sounds fun. We love that. Is there a whole big video game to it, or what is it? Micro narratives? How's it work?
Oh, that's a great question. We have worked really hard to make sure that the games are as immersive as possible and as akin to what kids are playing
Okay.
in their own time.
We love that.
Yeah.
So we're taking common game formats that we know are resonating, and we're working to reinvent them so that all of those game-based activities really have the learning at the core. So imagine something like Clash of Clans, where you're tasked with building up your own base and then defending it from other players.
Yep.
You've got that element of sort of like personalization, customization, challenge, competition. We also have games that are of the endless runner format.
Yes.
And
Okay,
we're working
yeah.
to see if there's really an avenue here to take those games. But in order to move forward in any of those games, you have to interact with our content.
Okay.
So there's going to be short passages. We call them works of microfiction.
Microfiction.
Microfiction,
Sentence, 2 sentences.
they range normally from around 150 to 300 words.
Words.
Okay.
And this depends again on grade level
Yeah.
and what we call our reading comprehension level.
Yep.
So they could be as short as just a couple of sentences. They could be as long as maybe 3 paragraphs or more.
Okay.
But the idea is that it's a standalone piece that functions as its own excerpt. Might be literature, might be nonfiction, but you've got this and it's enough for you to start embedding those strategies and putting them to work.
Great.
You read as a player, you answer questions, and correct answers are what's going to earn you in-game currency, unlock experiences and whatnot. And that's
Okay,
really
yeah.
Those
where
are video games
that's
today,
where that's
right?
where the game comes to be.
Yeah, it's also another game I can be really bad at. That's because you picked Clash of Clans. I never was successful.
I don't know if it's written towards you though.
Well, it's
Thankfully,
fine.
it's
Yeah,
for-
well,
You know,
it's good to know there's another one that I can fail at.
we actually have a ton of teachers who play along with their kids.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it's been really insightful to watch the teachers either get owned by their players because the kids will pick up on the
Yes.
strategy so quickly
Yes.
and they'll be like, oh, like Mr. Mister, like you really shouldn't put these defenses there. Like,
Yep.
so we also start to see it working both ways where like the
Okay.
teachers are supporting the academic content and intervening from that
That's
lens.
hilarious.
And the kids are the ones where
We,
they're suggesting those aspects.
at the Hitech Podcast, we do believe in kind of co-creation, collaborative decision making. Like the fact that we want that across our students is great, and with the students to teacher, that is a good
That's
thing.
actually it's a
We're
really
all
cool
humans.
idea because that's like while it's funny and like to make fun of. I remember just if I had like something to play around with my teacher, like it would have been fun trashing the teacher at a game, and it probably would have motivated me more to engage with it. Yeah.
And even from the lens of player engagement,
Right.
there's 2 different sets of metrics. So the students don't get to see each other's reading levels and they don't get to see each other's performance
Okay.
on the comprehension questions.
Got it.
But they do see which players have gotten the longest run in our endless runner or have amassed the most shards in Dreamscape.
Right.
Okay.
And it's really nice in that regard also because you almost get to put forward 2 different leaderboards and 2 different like definitions of success.
Yeah.
Okay.
The students who are great at the game, they may be playing at a reading level that's perhaps even lower than their grade level. But as long as they're learning and progressing from their own area of start, they're going to be rewarded in the game.
Yeah.
And we also have educator dashboards
Good.
that reward the students who are playing, and you can see their academic performance there also. So it's really a win-win situation
Yeah.
from both like that game side and the educational side.
Check my interest levels.
That's what we're going for.
Now I'm assuming there's a freemium setup of some sort. There's going to be free access to some level. There's going to be maybe paid access to more information.
Exactly. So our website, shoelacelearning.com, invites anybody to make a free account.
Great.
Any teacher can create a classroom and they can add an unlimited number of players. Players can play for free.
Good.
Okay.
When you play for free, you're going to access our core curriculum. So we have an adaptive learning engine that kicks in automatically. Students take our placement test. They don't know it's a placement test. They see it just as the tutorial in the game,
Okay.
but that's our diagnostic.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. That's really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the diagnostic kicks in, and then free players will receive our core content, which is adaptive and reactive to their play. It's going to give them passages at the reading level that we see fit, as well as begin to target in on skills and strategies that we think require reinforcement.
Okay.
If teachers want to pay, they are invited to upgrade to our premium membership. It costs $48 a year, and that allows them to control the educational content that gets pushed out to the players.
Right.
So if they want to pick certain assignments that are going to have an excellent fit with whatever they're teaching in whole class instruction, they can control that overlap.
Great.
And then that's where they can really dive into premium reports that we offer, which move beyond holistic class data into more individualized student reports.
Okay.
So yeah, a teacher today, tomorrow could pick it up, start to use it in the classroom, give the students a couple levels, play it around, enjoy it. It's going to work.
Exactly.
They'll
And
be able
one
to get
thing,
the functionality of teaching with the tool.
one thing that we've really been thinking about is here in the States, we know that ESSER funding is going to wrap up this year.
Oh,
So school districts that have been using this ESSER pod, which became available as a pandemic-based initiative to fund schools that really had to invest in tech during virtual and hybrid,
right.
it's going to end in June and it's not going to be renewed in July.
2024.
Correct. So anybody who's been using a paid platform, it may disappear fully. And if there's been historical data in there that people want to track, it's not going to be available next year for teachers to be able to use to inform their instruction. With our freemium model, you're not going to lose.
Okay.
That classroom data that's holistic is going to carry over whether your premium membership continues or not.
You guys are doing the work to keep the content.
We
hold
want
on.
that. We want to make sure that at the end of the
Have the
day,
continuity.
teachers are going to be able to have that continuity and then be able to rely on us to supplement.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
What's something new? So we've got a couple games, it sounds like, in place. Is there any new games coming soon? Is it like a big AI push right now? Like what's on the horizon?
We're working on two big things.
Okay.
The first of which is that we broadened our mission statement recently.
Okay.
So we used to speak a lot about just reading comprehension.
Sure.
And when we stopped and thought as a company about how we really define reading comprehension, it's all about action from reading. It's about learning from what you read and ultimately being prepared for whatever it is that life brings you later, whether that is civic engagement, whether that is college readiness or career readiness, but like being able to act
Yeah.
on text is the end game.
Okay.
So we revamped our mission statement to be broadened thinking that changes the world. We want our games to deliver that, which
Okay.
might sound pretty high and mighty and nebulous,
Sounds great though.
I
but
feel like that's what a mission statement should be in general anyway, very high and mighty.
but we're working to live it. And that's what
Okay,
I've spent about the last 6 months doing.
Love it.
I've worked with teachers to put together what we call the Perspectives Project of Content. And this is a collection of passages that are all about ill-structured problems that world leaders are thinking about today. So we tapped into the United Nations. So they have sustainable development goals
Okay.
that other countries outside of the US are really using to shape education. And it's topics like how we can continue to innovate with infrastructure, how we can think about climate action, how we can think about issues of inequity and how that
Yeah.
appears. And we've written passages that are age appropriate that dive into all these areas.
Awesome.
But we've written them from different points of view. So how different countries, different entities, different historical time periods engaged with these.
Oh, wow.
And we've grouped them up into a whole bunch of assignments that really should foster critical thinking.
Okay.
So rather than some platforms that might lean towards the skill and drill of like, what's an adverb? Or like,
Yeah.
what would you predict next? These are really meant
Aren't
to...
bad things, but are often done in boring ways.
Exactly. You have to
Yep.
have that foundation to
Yep.
start,
Yeah.
Right.
but you also don't want to end there.
Yeah.
And we have that foundation and we've had that foundation for a few years. So we've been working with the Perspectives Project to build on top of that. It's going live in the weeks following this conference here at FETC.
Okay.
So I'm excited to share about it with educators. And then if they really are looking for that level of discourse in their classroom and for that level of problem-based thinking, then I'm really excited to see how they can use that and make that an avenue.
Okay.
Since my work mostly revolves around content, we're also getting ready to go to South by Southwest in Texas next month.
Okay.
Yes.
And we're going to be launching our 8 Billion Stories project.
8
It
billion stories.
Stories?
sounds aspirational, but there
Wow.
are 8 billion people in the world, or
Okay.
soon to be.
Okay.
And we're thinking a lot about how frequently people are underrepresented when it comes to literature.
Okay.
We read a lot of stories that may not resonate with students' cultural backgrounds, with the socioeconomic status in which they live, or what their day-to-day life really looks like. But at the same time, we know that kids perform better when they feel seen.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to see if we can work with partnerships, whether that might be community centers, classrooms, school districts, anybody interested in helping to give a voice to their learners specifically,
Right.
and begin to basically crowdsource and curate a collection of stories that tap into all the identities.
I love that. I can think of 2 universities that I have worked with, had interaction with, who have some experience in that space. I'll tell you off air, but that's a good opportunity. I think that there's spaces where you can find researchers who are already doing that. who
Oh,
would
that'd
want
be
to
excellent.
contribute.
Yeah.
So that's just awesome. All of this through a game. I think we're past that in this world, right? Games teach.
Yeah.
This tool is specifically going to be a game for students to learn. I'm very excited to hear about all this and thankful that there's a free version first.
Yeah.
We're always okay with something you got to pay up for if it's a good feature. No problem. That's awesome. Someone could use it tomorrow. I love it. So we got the new mission statement, got this 8 billion stories thing, and we're just chucking forward into 2024 full steam ahead.
That's what we're going for. Yes, we're bringing that vision statement to life, and it's at the core of what we're doing.
Wonderful.
And we're just excited to be able to tackle this year and find teachers. We're looking to see if there's opportunities for beta teachers and focus groups. We'd love insight from educators around ways in which we could do this either in their classrooms or on our platform.
Great. How do people find it? So what's the website? What's any kind of contact information?
Oh, thank you. So I'm Lauren. My contact information is lauren@shoelacelearning.com.
Okay.
To check out our platform, you can find us at shoelacelearning.com.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Lauren.
Yeah,
We really
thank you.
appreciate taking the time with us and bumping into us here at FETC at 2024. We'll see if there's any more people we learn and meet, and hope to share you with other people who might be able to use this tool. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure.
This is the Hitech Podcast. We are at FETC 2024. We are joined, Will and Josh, by Jonathan. Oh, forgive me. I can't remember. I'm not even going to try, if you will.
Libov, Jonathan
Libov. We had written it down at that time. We met you before, having Antimatter on. We enjoyed that. Antimatter.
Antimatter, yes.
I'm an anti.
You're an anti?
It's just how I pronounce it.
Not
Like,
antimatter. We're not anti that.
No,
but,
right.
Will always mispronounced it.
Every
Leading up to
time.
your interview when we did
That's
your
all right.
podcast
Either
last
way.
time.
Either way.
Either way. Well, you're the one behind it all. So
I'll enforce Libov.
Libov
Bob, I'm leaving.
and Jonathan.
Antimatter or Jonathan.
Jonathan
pretty straightforward.
Libov.
You know, you'd be surprised how many people spell Jonathan with an H
Yes.
before the N, which is actually, if you're
More
Jonathan,
letters.
you know how it's extremely rare that you meet somebody
Yeah,
who's a Jonathan with an H before the N.
that's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
That's odd.
Well, and the idea there of making sure we have our names together and everybody is as respected as possible is something I think that's important for podcasts which are audio based, where no one knows what's happening, but we have to be clear, make sure that it's coming through nice and easy. We are just having some conversations, trying to get some content together to bring out past friends of the podcast and new friends of the podcast. Jonathan's the first person to sit down with us. Thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure.
How's the conference going for you so far?
It's going great. You know, we did a workshop yesterday
Awesome.
here in this room back here, where we had folks were sort of rotating around tables around different topics and different activities that they could do. Introduced a whole bunch of folks to Antimatter. Went great. Having a great time so far.
What are you passing around here? What
So-
do folks want to see?
I'm handing out coasters.
Yes.
So I made these coasters for the conference. They do say Antimatter here, and there's a link here in the bottom, antimatter.systems.
Love it.
Figured, you know, when you walk around happy hours, everybody
Yeah.
gets a coaster.
Yep.
And, you know, there's probably nothing that teachers feel more than this vibe. This is fine. So,
Yep.
given that we're a platform for inviting your students to make memes in the classroom, what could be more appropriate?
We love it. You've been on the podcast before. We love Antimatter. I will get it down.
You're doing it.
I will
You're
do
doing
it.
so great.
Either way.
It's fine.
We-
It's just
we-
his company.
it's just my brain wired the wrong way.
That's my livelihood and my future.
Yeah.
I'd love to respect that and lift it up. Amazing. What's something that you were hearing yesterday from those instructors, teachers, tech folks around the table that was surprising to them? Like, you're showing memes for education. Did anybody come up like, oh, wow, I hadn't thought of that, or something surprising like that?
Well, for Antimatter in general, there's a bit of a gestalt. When we tell people that we're making memes, you can invite your students to make memes.
Yep.
First, people, I mean, this is true when I tell friends and family what I do for a living. They don't get it either.
You can do that?
There's almost like a progression of one. First, people are like, what the heck do memes have to do with the class? And then people, when they try to understand it, they often think it's about like meeting the kids where they are or connecting with them. And then when I talk a little bit more, or you run through these activities, you realize that memes are these amazing learning devices hiding in plain sight. Because this is what I'm telling people as I walk around.
Yeah.
You can't make a great meme or interpret a great meme if you don't really understand the subject matter, right?
Yeah.
They're just these tiny little puzzles that fit really well into the classroom, and that's
And
sort
they're
of what the light bulb-
everywhere.
And they're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
That was something that stood out to me. We were walking around the conference. We're in a huge conference center in Orlando, Florida. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this. Right? All I see is this little orange eye. And I'm like, that's the This Is Fine meme. It's programmed.
Yes.
You can't miss it. And then I had to get closer. I was like, oh, Jonathan, that's beautiful. You know, I could see Antimatter on there.
I mean, look,
I loved it.
How many T-shirts do you wear to the gym that you picked up at old conferences? I figure we would do something that's more, the original spirit of Antimatter.
Yep.
Yeah, but
That's awesome.
it speaks to like what we've talked about before when you were on the podcast, like in the thing we were talking about, like your reaction to people thinking this is about meeting students where it's at. It's really about that you can communicate so much through this small picture when you know the information and you know what you're doing, and it's about communicating so much with so little, and having that as an educational practice, I just think is super cool.
It's exactly right. We just had a class finish memeing all Quiet on the Western Front. All 12 chapters of the book.
They memed the whole
have
thing.
been memed. Yes. And look, I have the best job in the world because I get to see these memes go up. I get to see the kids are learning and how they're being funny about it. I read All Quiet on the Western Front in high school, right? And as I'm looking at these memes, like the book comes rushing back to me because of memes, right? If I, I would never go read some kid's essay.
That's not a Thursday night for you,
Yeah.
Come on.
I got better things to do. But so I mean, they are very instantly consumable, but they're just like these portals into experiences that you had or knowledge that you had.
Yeah.
Like the book came rushing back to me as I was reviewing all the memes across every chapter.
I love that.
That's awesome.
I love that. You were telling us a little bit beforehand. Something's new with Antimatter. What's going on? You got some AI involved?
That's correct. Yes. So we have a new AI product called Sorcerer.
Oh,
Yes. Again,
I love that name so much.
Keeping the Antimatter spirit, right?
yes.
The one thing you can say about Antimatter, we're really going for it, right? It's like, there's it's not called classroom this or that. It's called Sorcerer.
Right.
And
You have an aesthetic.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah.
Lean
Oh,
into
yeah.
it.
Lean into it, and I love it.
So the origin of Sorcerer is that it came, we recently introduced this activity in Antimatter called New Phone Who Dis,
Yeah.
which is a simulated iPhone chat between two fictional characters, historical figures, or concepts or ideas.
Yeah.
And, we were pretty stuck on, because again, we got our start in making memes, and this New Phone Who Dis activity is a meme of sorts. It's more like a lowercase meme. But we were really sort of really stuck on how powerful the conversations were between students in that activity, right? And it got us kind of thinking about how we could augment that kind of power. And so we developed a conversational AI, which is a thing that I guess everybody at this conference is familiar with, but we're very different in the sense that just about every other AI will answer questions that you pose to it, whereas Sorcerer asks you questions.
Oh,
okay.
So the very first
Yes.
prompt will be, tell me what you know about All Quiet on the Western Front. Some very general question.
Okay.
And you have to give an answer, and it'll give you a score on every answer from 0 to 100.
This sounds like a party game. I could use this
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Thursday night with
Yeah.
friends instead of a paper.
And
No, that's
what's
awesome.
really neat is that, I mean, even unlike a party game, that sort of, whatever your response is, the game's going to give you the same sort of feedback.
Right.
Sorcerer asks differentiated questions. So if
Okay.
you give if you didn't read the book and you give a very basic answer, it's gonna give you an encouraging response saying,
Okay.
let's see if we can delve a little bit deeper. Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah.
It encourage you to give a more thorough answer.
Yeah.
Whereas if you give it a great answer tell me about the major themes of All Quiet on the Western Front, it'll immediately ask you a deeper question about the subject matter.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's
That's
great.
awesome.
It's really phenomenal.
And that's live.
Oh yeah, that's live. Yeah.
Same platform, same system, like a good Antimatter.system
/sorcerer.
/sorcerer,
Sorcerer.
Yes.
and you're in.
Yes.
Ooh, that's some
cool.
magic.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to test it out. That's really
It's
awesome.
really great also for teachers. You get to see every chat that your
Okay.
student is
Okay.
engaged in with Sorcerer. And we even offer these little insights that are both a response to how your response could have been improved, how
Okay.
it could be better,
Yeah.
along with a little chart of how your score is progressing throughout your conversation with Sorcerer.
So it's not a hit it and quit it. You don't just come and just have a quick chat with Sorcerer and move on. There is a continuity of your learning over time.
Exactly.
Wow.
We even follow up the next day with a follow-up question about the subject matter.
It is a sorcerer.
And then on day 2, you're laying in bed going to sleep. We pop up from underneath the covers and ask you another question about All Quiet on the Western Front.
As long as it's a Gandalf style person popping up, I'm totally
Yes.
cool with all
Yes.
that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Anything else? Anything else. But is Antimatter going to any other conferences? Anything coming up soon that you want to be promoting, or just head over to Antimatter.system and get signed up?
Yeah, exactly. That's the first place to start. And then be on the lookout for what's coming next, which is, to date, we've been serving teachers in classrooms. What's coming next is things that connect classrooms from around the world. So you can use a student in Dearborn, Michigan, making a meme about All Quiet on the Western Front that's being enjoyed by a student in, let's say, Manchester in the UK,
Oh, wow.
who's also
Okay.
reading the same book.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for sitting down with us, Jonathan.
thanks for joining us.
Appreciate
My
this
pleasure,
little
as
drop
always.
in.
Yes.
And, folks, go back and make sure you listen to the full episode with Jonathan Libov of Antimatter Systems.
Oh, you got it.
You did.
Ah,
Woo!
2
I
for
love
2.
Yeah.
Thank
The
you.
nervousness
You're
in
so
your face
generous.
didn't give away that you were nervous at all.
Make sure you go watch the old episode, but we also appreciate you listening to all the content we're doing here at FETC. Hope to see you at the next opportunity.
Sounds
Thank you,
great.
Jonathan.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. This is the Hitech Podcast with Will and Josh. We're here with Dave Hopp of Beanstack. We're going to learn a little bit about what it can do for reading, literacy, students, teachers, all of the above. Dave, thanks for taking the time with us. How you doing today?
I'm great. Happy Thursday, everybody.
And
Thank
happy
you.
Thursday.
Appreciate it.
We made it here at FETC.
Yeah.
What is the basics behind Beanstack? What's it trying to accomplish in the classroom?
Main problem that the entire country is facing is kids are not reading, especially when it comes to their own free choice. So that's a huge problem. We all know that when kids read more, they have better academic, social outcomes. So our approach is to get kids to read more, get them motivated to pick up a book, and then at the school and district level, really help them continue to grow a positive reading culture that emphasizes free choice.
I love that. As a kid myself, the only thing that started me was something with my bank. If I read 10 books, I got $10. Right? Otherwise, I was not interested.
Gamification before gamification was the thing.
Yeah. In the 90s, right? That's where-
Or capitalism.
That's true, yeah.
A little bit of both might get us there. So what's the platform like for the students? Is this an app? Is it something that's on iPads? How do they engage with it?
Yeah, you can access Beanstack on any type of a device. 95% of usage in school is going to be on their Chromebooks, laptops, whatever device they have. They access it through Clever, ClassLink, these single sign-on portals that they're using.
Okay.
But then we're also a mobile app. So a lot of schools want to focus on literacy. They're really trying to promote parent-family engagement with literacy because reading shouldn't just happen at home. So we're a mobile app, and it's big intent is to get families reading more at home and make it a little bit more fun by earning badges and streaks and all that.
Okay. So it's something that they might use in the classroom, or they could use in the classroom.
Yeah.
But they're also going to use it at home. We want that holistic reading experience for the student,
100%.
going wherever they are. So if a teacher is going to use it in the classroom, do they have controls to like assign things and put reading options out, or how does that work?
Yeah, so there's, I think, two different elements. Number one of our core type of features is called a reading challenge.
Okay.
Reading challenges can be differentiated for any type of purpose. Could be for a book club, could be for all of 5th grade students, whatever scope that you want. So I, as a teacher, can create my own challenge for my own kids to whatever degree I want. Maybe it's a genre challenge. Maybe it's my favorites in my classroom library.
Right.
I run a challenge based off of that. But also the other element is just, like you said, 24/7 reading, holistic approach. So any type of reading that you do, whether it's assigned or at 10 o'clock at night before going to bed, it all gets factored into the student's reading log.
Walk me through it.
Yeah.
Teacher has a lesson on Abraham Lincoln,
Mhm.
and they want them to do some sort of reading on that. What's the teacher got to do? Do they have to go find some readings and pull it in? Do you have a library that they can access? How do we start the students reading about Abraham Lincoln?
Great, yeah. So we're not a content provider because intentionally, kids, schools, they have access to a lot of different types of content that might not be used as much as they want. So our approach is to motivate kids and schools to use content that they already have.
Okay.
So if it is this Abraham Lincoln lesson or unit plan, you are going to have materials already. So a lot of schools will do something like a silent sustained reading initiative or drop everything and read every day. They'll use Beanstack as part of that daily routine. So if it is Abe Lincoln at that moment, great. They'll type in the article, they'll scan the book, whatever the media is, start the timer, and then I can capture their live reading session. And then if I'm a teacher read aloud as part of our lesson, I could actually track read aloud time for all students simultaneously.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we could have 20, 30, whatever students in a room, all on Beanstack while they're doing their reading, and that's tracking what they're doing and giving that data report back to the teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how you said 30 students, because when I was a teacher, I usually had 30 or more students. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're at the lower end class ratio.
Yeah.
So what, my curiosity, and I think some of the teachers listening, right, are what about the app motivates the student to read more? Like what engages them that gets them into that next level? I'm assuming it's not more money from a bank, but probably the challenges and...
Yeah, a lot. So I say, the whole like onions have layers kind of thing. Beanstack has a lot of different layers.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's all about differentiation in terms of learning and motivation. So you might be motivated, Josh, by certain things. William, you were motivated by money early on. We're all motivated by different factors. So schools, classes have the opportunity to layer in different approaches.
Yeah.
So some might be really motivated by challenges. Some kids might be motivated by badges that they earn at different levels of achievement.
Okay.
For a kid like me, for an adult like me, I'm motivated by the streaks. So every day you're building a reading streak. So it's that whole idea of reading stamina as a daily behavior. And then our number one factor that we recommend to all schools is to have a community goal. On Beanstack, you can trace or track a community goal, and we see that schools, when they have a community goal, usually based around minutes, there's 70% more participation happening at those schools.
Wow.
Hey folks, we're really bummed that we lost the other half of this interview with Beanstack. It was a great conversation. Trust me, I was there. We hope you'll head over to Beanstack and just check their information out, see if their tool, with everything you've heard at least so far from our FETC conversation, can serve needs for you and your learners, your district, your institution, etc. So make sure, head over to beanstack.com and check them out. Thanks.
Is this how phishing works?
Yeah.
You just prompt people?
I don't think it's
I
working.
don't know if this is working. I currently watch a podcast called Podcast Outside,
Where they literally just
just do this, and I don't know how they do this all the time.
how it works.
Like they just sit at a
actually
table and people just talk.